So welcome, second day, lab day. I'm gonna be going over some of the stuff that I think about, questions that I ask in my laboratory, some of the stuff that we do, some of the stuff that we've done. Basically my story, entering the digital world, I guess you'd say. We've been doing it for a while, like you guys have. So I basically just want to go through my story, tell you what I've done, what I've learned, how we positioned ourselves for growth. Because, you know, in the lab, you're seeing lots of attrition, we're seeing lots of things happening with the laboratory industry, and we have to figure out a way to redevelop, recreate, reintroduce our laboratories. And I think that's happening nationwide. People, you know, you're not relying on the laurels anymore of the past. You know, my crown's better, this and that. And we're going to get into some stuff. It's going to be hard for me to go. We have to go quickly. So normally this is a couple-hour lecture. We'll break it down to about 45 minutes. So let's get rocking and rolling. We talk about passion and excitement. The people know when you're passionate about what you do, and I think that sells. In my laboratory, I love what I do. We do it every day. It's infectious. It seriously is. When you start showing people passion, you start doing those things, it exudes out, and people gravitate towards that. And I think passion is one of the most important aspects of what we do on an everyday basis. I mean, you can be a good technician, but do you really care about the product you're putting out? There's all these things that come into play. And I want to go through some of the stuff of how I position my laboratory for growth through passion, through intellect, trying to become the best at what we do and help the dentist in terms of growing their practice, help the patient. So it's all these things encompassed that we want to do to be at the top, I guess you'd say. So leveraging digital workflow, maximize profitability, reinvent your laboratory. And that's true. We talk about this. I talk about it all the time. I travel a lot, lecture all over the place, talk about the reinvention process. I'm second generation. So for me, and the stuff that I'm doing, it's through my father. So a lot of us are second generation, a lot of us are family businesses. So we have to figure out a way to make it your lab, not your father's lab or your mother's lab, or where we've been and where we're going. So that's us, Professional Dental Lab. We're like 18 people, technicians, staff in Elkhart, Indiana. We've had the in-lab system for like almost 10 years now. I think we got it in 2006. And it's kind of changed the way we do business. It's made us much more profitable. I'm going to talk about profitability. I'm going to talk about the competitive advantage and what you bring to the table as a laboratory. And it's all built on the Sirona platform. For the stuff that we offer to our clinicians is built in the digital highway, if you would say. And it positions my laboratory to give something different that nobody else can offer. And we're going to get into that. I love that quote. I've used that quote for like 8 years lecturing because it makes so much sense. Involve me and I learn. You don't want to understand it because if you know it, you become that resource center and everything. I mean, doctors call us all the time about material questions because we've asserted ourselves as that resource for everything, not just a crown and bridge. The new lab of the future is going to be digital. You're not going to be fixed, you're not going to be removable, you're going to be digital. And I really do believe that from being, you know, everywhere and seeing all the laboratories, being in all your guys' labs and through the years, I've learned a lot. And the new lab is not going to be fixed, removables, it's going to be everything. So that's our lab. We're pretty active in the Chamber of Commerce. We do stuff, business after hours. We position ourselves for visibility. I don't want to be the creepy lab guy, grindy behind the bench with porcelain dust everywhere. I want to be something different. I want to be a partner to my clinicians. And I think with what we're doing and how we're positioning ourselves, it's becoming more and more that way. These are my little ones, little ginger power. I hashtag everything. So social networking, still trying to figure all this stuff out, but it seems to work. I mean, if you hashtag like digital dentistry in Facebook, you'll see our company pop up like top 50. It's crazy how it works. All right, in-lab revolution begins today. Everything's changing. Everybody talks about what Sirona can't do. And this is the stuff I want to get into. They talk about closed system, open system, you know, can't convert that, can't do that. But we can talk about what Sirona can do. And I think once they built this digital infrastructure, this highway, that it's unparalleled. And the stuff that we're doing in my laboratory, and I'm going to get into all this, is awesome. And it's changing everything. And you can see I'll get pretty, it's early, but it's pretty exciting where we've been and where we're going. So where did everybody go? You talk about this. I'm at booths everywhere. I go to Iowa, you know, Missouri, Texas, and we have all these trade shows like Midwest Spring Technical, that kind of stuff. And you see there's nobody there. Everybody's gone. Is it because nobody's attending the shows? No, it's because labs are closing. People are going away. And it's just the natural attrition of our economy. There's no competitive advantage to anybody. Crowns are becoming commodities. Everything's going digital. So in terms of where did everybody go? They're going away. They're switching trades. There was what, 14,000 labs or something in 2009. There's like 7,900 or 7,000 labs left. We've lost a huge percentage of us. You know, 10 years ago, this room might have been packed. Maybe not at 9, at midwinter, because everybody was still hungover. But think about it, CE events. You see this stuff. What about the old school? Think about midwinter 5, 8 years ago. Like Hancock Building, the vendors were just having awesome, massive parties. Everything's being squeezed, so we have to figure out what we can do to not be. Fix is a commodity. And the baby boomers and the removable revolution, LMT says that it's like how many X number of people are getting past the age of 65, like every 30 seconds. So you see what we're doing is, like in my lab, dentures are booming. Fixed used to be the hugest thing ever. It was all the prima donna, the huge fees, and now it's becoming removables. Our removable department is rocking and rolling. It's because the baby boomer generation. I've used this slide forever. So basically, this is how I feel the industry is, especially when it comes to digital. Everybody's looking at, the clinician's looking at you, you're looking at the clinician, everybody's trying to figure out how to go digital, you know, how to learn digital, and we've been digital for a long time, but nobody's really implementing it. The technology's been there, but nobody's actually using it. I mean, you think about Sirona Connect and all this stuff. We use it every single day. Some people don't. And it's positioned my laboratory for growth in a whole other way. This clicker, come on. So basically, we purchased InLab in 2006. We've done probably about 30,000 IPS EMAX cases. Just a little background about what we do. We used to use AcrylCAD. With the MCX5 we got about 3 weeks ago, it's a workhorse. We don't do any more AcrylCAD, we mill pucks. It's awesome. If you haven't got a chance to see it, go down and take a look at it, because it's crazy. CAD temps, diagnostics, the stuff that we do now, we don't do any more diagnostic wax-ups. We do no more of that. I prep the model, we do a CAD temp. So when the doctor gets it, if it's a roundhouse or whatever it may be, you prep the model, mill it out of CAD temp, and they have their diagnostics, and they're temporary. So there's no suck downs, no visacryl, none of that stuff. My lab's at 18% labor rate. That's awesome. Basically, normal businesses run at 33%, we're at 18% in Crown and Bridge. We've maximized. When you look at buying technology, you're buying capacity. You're not buying workforce. It's capacity. They figure like every mill you purchase is equivalent of about 3 people. In our laboratory, it's about that. It's spot on. I talk about relationships. I think business, the only thing we have is relationships. And I think that's the most important thing, especially when you're doing stuff and you're talking to your clinicians and you're being visible within your area. Relationships is all we got. And we're going to get into same day, because where I'm at, carrying my soapbox around, same day is the most important thing. And I think it's changing everything. You got to think the way the material revolution is going, the way everything's happening, same day from my perspective is what's going to take over our industry. And having a Sirona system, you already have the infrastructure laid down. The stuff that we're going to talk about today, or this morning for the next half hour, is basically you can do it now. Because the infrastructure's laid, and you can maximize profitability. You can recreate what you're doing. Like what we do is we charge $250 a unit for a same-day crown. That's a great fee. So everybody's price gouging. All the prices are going down, down, down. We're going up, but we're creating value in what we do. And we're going to go over that. The ADA says the Material Revolution 2014, look at all these new entries to the field. You got Vita, you got Suprinity, you have the GC product, you have all these new things coming to market. And we have to figure out how to process them. It's not the technology driving our market, it's the materials driving our market. And then we're just finding technology, how to process that stuff. You talk about market uncertainty. I love this. This was like, I think this was like September, October in LMT. You talk about all these labs. Freezing pay raises. Almost 40% of the laboratories are freezing pay raises. In my laboratory in 2008, 2009, we had tons of back payroll taxes, IRS agents, all this stuff. We about lost our butt. In terms of Elkhart, Indiana, we had the highest unemployment rate in the country, at 22%. People weren't prepping teeth. People weren't making dentures. I mean, it got to the point where we almost lost it. In June of this last year was our best month ever. since 1968, the lab's been there. That's crazy. We've given out $200 gift cards every single month for like 7 months in a row to our employees. That's crazy, because we give back. The stuff that we're doing, I don't know if it's the best, but we're seeing growth. And I don't know if it's the way we position ourselves or what we're doing to see the growth, but I think it's the education, the relationships, the consistency. And going CAD/CAM allows you to create the consistency. I mean, look at that, cutting salaries. 8% of people are going to cut salaries. Can you imagine your boss coming to you and say, hey, you're making 8% less? That's crazy. So reinvention. In terms of laboratories, I don't know how many owners, how many technicians are in here, but this is stuff you have to think about, even if you want to own your lab someday. Succession plan. Even if you're 40 years old, think about succession plan. Think about the stuff. CE courses, reintroduction. Have CE courses to your doctors all the time. Partner with all these different vendors, implant companies, Sirona, Patterson. Partner with them. They'll help you sell. They'll help you create the visibility that you guys need. Study clubs. We started the CBCT study club. We have cone beam now at the laboratory. It's crazy. We're integrating surface data. We're doing all this awesome stuff. And it's gravitating the doctors towards us. We picked up 10 or 15 new accounts in the last 2 months. It's nuts what's happening in my local area. And it's just through consistency, education, and basically just building on those relationships. Like study clubs. Start a study club about something you guys are interested in. Is it CAD/CAM? Is it digital dentistry? Whatever it may be, get in there, wiggle yourself in, and stay there. Because it's relationships. Doctors are not sending you crowns because they like your work. They might like your work, but they like you. And that's all there is. You go to the same hairstylist, or you go to the mall, you go to that store because you like it, because there's somebody you know there. Like my Patterson rep, I could probably save $2 grand a month by not buying everything from Patterson. But you know what? He's my friend. And it's relationships, and he's always there for me. And business is built on relationships, and that's it. Bring something different to the table. That's what we're doing. Basically, digital dentistry. It's happening right now, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff. Create your value. Think about how you create value. We create value because we went digital. I can offer something quicker. Is it quicker? Whatever it may be. Is it service? You know, Glidewell can be the cheapest, but they can't be now. So think about all these things. How do you look different from your competitors? It's a good question. Is it your secondary anatomy? No, it's not. How profitable are you? What's your most profitable product? Ours, at 250 bucks a unit, same day, that block was what? 35 bucks? Took me 12 minutes to do it. The whole thing, it's out. Modelless, done. That's my most profitable product, is the same day crown. How are you maximizing relationships? I always talk about healthy manipulation. I'm real big into psychology stuff, and I read the other day it's called socially influencing. If I give you something that you want and I get something I want, that's socially influencing. If you manipulate somebody, it's for your own good. So give the doctor something they want, wherever it may be. In my case, the same day crowns is digital. We become this digital powerhouse locally. Stop competing on price. Accept what the industry is presenting to us. It's funny because I say at every lecture, I said, you're sitting in your lab at 9 o'clock at night, porcelain butt margin, you can't die trim twice the same. We do it all the time. I find myself doing it. And it's crazy the way that we have positioned ourselves as lab techs to be the grindy guy in the basement, you know, sitting at the bench. It's nuts. And I don't want to be that guy. So how are you reinventing? And we're going to go over this, yourself and your lab. If you've been in business for 30, 40 years, you have to have a reinvention process because you're the same lab down the street. So how do you position yourself for growth, and how do you implement the growth? So think about, why would a dentist send you the work? What's the competitive advantage that you have over your guy down the street that's trying to undercut you for everything? And this is great. I was talking to this lady in Columbus. And she said, yeah, I've been in digital lab for like 6 years. I said, so you've been digital for 6 years, huh? And she said, yeah. I said, so how are you digital? She's like, well, I have 3Shape. I have a dental wings, you know. You look at ExoCAD, Nobel, Straumann, all these different CAD/CAM machines. But that's not digital. When we talk about a digital lab means a case comes in digitally and it leaves with nothing tactile. Or there's no model. Or maybe you get a model off the digital scan. But in terms of digital, she's not digital, because she's scanning an analog impression. taking 3Shape or Sirona X5, whatever it may be, if you're scanning that analog impression and you're putting it into CAD/CAM, that's digitizing workflow. That's not digital workflow. When you have cases coming in digital, that's true digital. And the only playing field that is consistent is Sirona. The infrastructure is laid. You can say, yeah, well, I can get a Trios, I can send it to a 3Shape, then 3Shape, you do what with it after that? You send it where? You go to Roland, or you go to what? So if something doesn't fit, what happens? Roland blames 3Shape, 3Shape blames Roland, it happens. People talk about Sirona in the closed system. It doesn't make sense to me. If I built the infrastructure, I'm not going to let you play in it. It makes total sense to me. If I build a house, you're not living in it, because it's my house. I'll let you play in it maybe a little bit. I may come over and see it, but I built it. So that's what people talk about, what Sirona can't do. Let's talk about what they can do in the digital infrastructure, and especially with the MCX5 now. This is going to be a huge year. Game on. Because now you have everything. You have a true, complete package. So where do you go from here? Same day. It's not about digital impressioning. It's about digital impressioning same day. Why do you think Cerex sells so many milling machines? It's because it's done same day. The patient wants it. When we start breaking this stuff down, it doesn't make sense. If you haven't seen Omnicam, check it out. You guys, if you're Crown and Bridge Lab, you should know pretty much everything about these DI units. Not even Sirona's, everybody's. Because doctors are going to call you. Have a DI event. Bring them all in. Who's the best? Sirona is the best. I've evaluated them. I was in the marketing focus group for 3Shape Trios. So I'm sitting there going, wow, this thing's pretty awesome. That was when Blue Cam was out. Well, guess what happened? Calzer was getting ready to launch Cara Trios, and Sirona came out with Omnicam. And they canceled the whole launch. That's crazy. Look at that. That's my mom's eye. I scanned her with an Omnicam. She's blind in that eye now, but how awesome is that? It shows you the clarity. It shows you the data. It's nuts. If you see a truly digital file, a file that comes in, and you mill it out with no model and put it on the model, it fits better than anything you've ever seen. I said last year at Midwinter, we were about 6 months into the whole smile design process and the same-day crowns. I've said I've made more perfect fitting crowns than everybody at this lab meeting combined, because it's digital. And until you experience it, you don't get it, because it's awesome. How it fits, how it behaves. I mean, the margin is perfect. And that's why you see the CEREC doctors leave us. Why they leave us? It's not because aesthetically it's a far superior product, but in terms of fit, it's awesome. It's the equivalent of pressing in the mouth. And when you see it, it's crazy. Like right there, that was one morning at $250 a pop. That's crazy. And you all, who has InLab in the room now? Anybody? So nobody, a couple of you. This is the stuff you can do right now. If you move forward with the system, I'm not better, I'm just more experienced. We figured it out. So $250 a pop, the block was what, $35? That's nuts. Those margins are crazy. It's my first modelist case 6 years ago with Dr. Rich Rosenblatt. We did an event here in Chicago at Maggiano's. He's like, yeah, we're going to try this CEREC Connect. At that time, it was CEREC Connect. It wasn't Sirona Connect. He said, I'm going to send you a couple crowns. We're going to put them on the screen. We're going to talk about them in front of our peers. And at that point, you're thinking, you know, old school, you know, floating glass and plastic. I'm like, you're going to take a PA and do what? And put it in front of you. I was like, that's your friends, not mine. They can look at you. And I couldn't believe the interface. I had no model to go off of. I milled them out, standing glazed them, monolithic Emacs, sent it back to him, and that was it. Done. It's crazy. So what do we do now? So new materials to manufacture. We talk about all the material revolution, all the stuff that's coming in to us to process. There's tons of new materials. You have Obsidian coming. You have GC's new material. You have Vita Suprinity. You have all these new things coming to market, and we got to figure out how to manufacture them. Doctors are going to call you because they're reading all these magazines. They're reading all this, calling you up and saying, hey, what do you think about this? You have to know what you're talking about in terms of materials and how to manufacture those materials. Years ago, we went high noble. I was a high noble Empress lab. That's all I was. Years ago, high noble Empress. And guess what happened? High noble went through the roof, right? Through the roof. So then what happened? High noble went away, and then you had Procera. Zirconia came to market. We still got good fees for that. Because you got to think, the high noble world, we did what? We marked our alloy up. So every year you got what? A briefcase in the lab. They set it down, open it up, and there's some cash in there. That's how it used to be. It's not like that anymore. But you know, when the zirconia came to market, we still got good fees for that. $195 a unit, $200 a unit for a layered zirconia crown. So then what happened? EMAX came. We're like, man, that's the one in, that's saving all. That's would be the best thing in the industry. And then what happened to that? Price went down. So now you're getting what, 140, 150 bucks a crown, plus your alloy, and now you went to what, 200 bucks a crown for zirconia. You lost your 30% markup or whatever it was, and now we're at Bruxer. Now we're at a $100 crown or whatever, $110 crown. So think about what the market's done to our laboratory. Your profitability per piece sucks. So you got to figure out how to reinvent the piece or find something else to add value to create more money to increase your bottom line. Overall gross numbers are down. In my lab, gross numbers are down. Profitability's through the roof. Through the roof. We have what, 3.5 techs in Crown and Bridge? In my Crown and Bridge lab, we have 2 MCXLs and MCX5, and we're doing 500-600 crowns a month with those 3 guys. It's crazy. Margins are nuts because we figured it out. And it's not because we're better, it's because we have the experience to do it. It took us a long time to figure it out. So the 2 biggest obstacles of clinicians going digital is learning curve and cost of input. They're going to spend 40, 50 grand on a DI unit to do what? To have the patient come back, still temporized. So you're going to go pitch, all you guys are probably going to your doctor saying, hey doc, you should buy that Omnicam Connect, send me some cases over. He's going, man, that sounds great. So where's the value for him? There's no value for his side of it. Because he's going to spend $40,000 and he still has to temporize and see the patient again. So the only advantage you see from a scientific approach would be conventional impressioning in our industry has a 5% remake off a conventional polyvinyl PVS impression. Digital is like 0.3%. So you're going to talk him into spending 40 grand for 4%, 4.5%. And if he's not having remakes now, why in the hell is he ever going to buy it? I'm not going to buy it. If I'm in that situation, why would I buy it? You've given me nothing else. Yeah, I make your life easier, but it's not reciprocated. So you got to think in terms of a DI unit, it has to be done same day. If they buy it, that's cool. But they have a $1,000 payment on that, and you got to figure out how to help them pay for it. And you become a partner. Chairside milling. How many people have lost a doctor to CEREC? I have. It happens a lot. Next time you're a good accountant that you've been doing business with for 20 years, talk to him about the ROI. CEREC specialist, I'm good friends with mine. We work fantastic together. We do a great job. We co-travel together. I co-travel with my CEREC specialist. He knows he's going to lose some. I know I'm going to lose some. But you know what? We're working together. And it makes sense. They say 10 crowns a month. So this is a CEREC specialist going and talking to a dentist. 10 crowns a month will pay for your CEREC system. That's what they're saying. The numbers are skewed. And I love this ROI. So basically, I'm going to run it down for you. So about a CEREC system is about 3 grand. 3 grand a month payment. They say 10 crowns is your break-even point from a clinician's perspective, right? The block list says 40 bucks. So 10 times 40 is 400 bucks. Add that to $3,000 for your capital investment. Divide it by 10, you're at $340 crowns. And we haven't even talked about turning the lights on, paying little Susie Q, paying himself, or any time that he made at that chair. At $500 to $800 an hour at the chair, $340 crowns, say he spends a half hour on it. We're at 600 bucks. People don't think about that. Yeah, I cut the lab bill out. Like I was talking to one of my doctors, and he's like, yeah, but he's like, your numbers are skewed. My numbers aren't skewed. Your numbers are skewed. You got sold on skewed numbers. So from my perspective, he's like, well, after 5 years, my payment's paid off. And he's like, I don't have to pay you anymore or the system. I'm like, but you still got to pay you, and you're supposed to be way more expensive than me, right? It makes sense. And I said, didn't you just upgrade to Omnicam? Yeah. Oh, the ROI continues. Right? It's true. So to make sense of current manufacturing time frame, we talk about I make a good crown, doctor makes a good temporary. So what happens? How come he's grinding the shit out of my crown? My crown's right, right? You guys make good crowns, occlusion's right. He made a perfect temp. It's because we're seeing microabrasion in the temporization. Over that time, over that duration of time in the mouth, you're seeing that slight microabrasion because it's a material flaw. It's not that you're a bad technician. It's not that he's a shitty dentist. It's that we're relying on materials that you see microabrasion over the 7 days or 8 days it takes in the mouth because nothing's as hard as enamel dentin. So think about that. So I'm doing a study with 3 different temporaries to see which one actually has the least amount of microabrasion. Because, well, the one doctor I'm working with, he does. I mean, yeah, he's a good doctor. So we're working on this stuff. You know, I adjust my occlusion correctly. He's doing his stuff. I know he's doing it correctly. So I get a critique sheet back, and he had to grind on it for 4 or 5 minutes. Why? It's because we're seeing microabrasion and temporization. That's what's happening. So it's not that he's a shitty dentist. It's not that you're a shitty lab tech. It's that it's the materials that we're relying on, and nobody talks about this. It's crazy. How to capitalize on level of acceptance in dentistry. You know, you got doctors saying all the time, oh, you know, CEREC fits. You know, like I said before, they left us for CEREC because it's fitting better than what we could produce for them. Aesthetically, it's not there. But the level of acceptance, they're saying, no, 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 this fits. This fits right now. And you got your 10-power loops on, looking under a microscope, going, no, no, it doesn't fit. You're overproducing. I find myself doing it all the time. Like I said, porcelain button, that margin, you can't die trim twice the same. It happens all the time. So evaluate the current industry models and improve. You've seen a lot of different people, you know. You got the Eddie Corrales, the CAD Smiles. You got Trey and Rendon. They're doing the different things. They're moving the mills around. So the business model that we figured out is you can't move the mill. And you can't be at one location because you maximize your capacity right now. So this is my solution, basically, to reinvent myself and grow. So we created a business called Smile Design. And basically, I called it that because the Sirona software in 4.0 had the Smile Design feature, so I wanted to be branded with that. It sounds cliche, and it's simple, but you know what? People talk about it, and they know it. So basically, what we did is no capital investments from its clients to use lathes and technology. We offer 90 minutes turnaround time for an EMAX crown. 90 minutes. Patient can sit in the chair for 90 minutes. Everything's scheduled. I can't go real in depth because this is a short lecture. But basically, we have a live streaming calendar that integrates with their calendar, and they can see real time. Patient needs a crown. They look at our calendar. They schedule it. The crown guy shows up, rolls it in, boom, uploads it to the lab. All I'm doing is creating milling centers for dentists. Local milling centers for dentists. Think about us when it started out. Procera, how many people bought a Mod 40, right? Did aluminum, sent them off. Where'd you send it to? A milling center. Sure as hell worked good for the lab industry, didn't it? They're still around. So all we're trying to do is create milling centers on a local level for the dentist. Because glide wheel can be the cheapest, but you can't be now. And once you start breaking all the factors that go into it, it's way more profitable, even though we're charging more. $100 crown, $250 crown, the numbers that we've broken down, it's way more profitable for the clinician. Way more. I was out in San Diego doing a summit, and I was talking all kinds of mad stuff about Glidewell and Bruxer and how I hate it, you know, and talking about the industry's changing. And Frankie was like, hey man, Glidewell's in the room. So it's pretty funny as I was talking all this crap and stuff. It was interesting how the industry is evolving. So 90-minute EMAX, all interior work, the patient has to come to the lab. If you have a Sirona system, you can do this right now. Right now you can do this. If the doctor doesn't want to send the patient to the lab, unless they're older or have medical conditions, we won't do the case. Because I can't guarantee a shade match. That's mine. That's our we have 4 franchises now, or partnerships in the Midwest. We have one in Grand Rapids, Detroit, South Bend, and Chicagoland. If they don't want to send the patient to the lab, we don't want to do the case. Because aesthetically, if you can have that patient in front of you, and I'm telling you, as the hundreds of patients that I've seen, you get really good at matching stuff and understanding materials. Because you got the patient there in your face, and they're looking at it with a mirror and all these color-corrected lights. The accountability jumps. And from the patient's perspective, they love it. And you think, okay, well, how are you doing that with all the time frame? You know, you got to think bringing patients in, custom shades, that takes time away from the bench. But you haven't done anything else with that case before that day. You haven't sent a driver to pick it up. You haven't poured it up. You haven't bulk trimmed it, die trimmed it, scanned it, designed it. You haven't done any of that stuff. It comes in, you design it, you mill it, you wait for the patient to show up, and you finish it. Doctors love it. I have an E4D doctor in my backyard. E4D, he has all the newest stuff. We do all his anterior work, and he just made a commercial at a local level and put us in it. We're in the commercial from an E4D doctor, and we're using Sirona equipment. It's awesome. CBCT, we launched that. We're going to get into some cone beam stuff, where the industry's going in terms of lab guys. We got to be on our game. The ones that are going away are the ones not in the game. You know, if your business is you know, I'm everywhere. I see what's happening to our industry. Labs are booming. My lab is booming. And the labs that I talked to, the guys I've talked to at this meeting, they're like, man, we are busier than we've ever been. So why is that? So CBCT centers, so we want to launch cone beam centers throughout the country and help integrate surface data, help the clinician be relevant. I want the mon pa to stay relevant. They don't have to invest the money. We invest it, we teach them how to do it, and we move forward. We talked about this last night. New job description. We're creating a new dental tech job, a scanning tech. That's what we're doing. At our franchises or partners, basically they have a scanning tech that comes back and runs production. So he goes out, does 3 or 4 scans in the morning. So what, 3 or 4 scans in the morning, $250, $300 a crown, right? That's a good morning for an hour. Think about it. He comes back, goes back into production, pours models, scans stuff, designs stuff. It's all part of the ecosystem. So we're actually creating a new type of job in the dental lab because he can come back and go to work. I love that. This was a year ago. So we started basically a year ago, June, so we're about 18 months in. At that point, so January 2nd of 2014, we had done what? About 600 cases. We're about 2,000, 2,500 cases in the last year and a half at $250 a pop. That's not counting the smile makeovers. Like this Wednesday, I'm going to Cincinnati to do a whole complete restorative smile makeover for the Cincinnati Bengals dentist, the official guy. We're doing a full upper and like, I think 7 or 8 units in the lower. We'll come in the morning. We'll be there in the morning. He'll be prepped by 11. Patterson's dropping off some milling machines. We'll be done by we'll be in the mouth by 5. I think we're charging like $6 grand or $6,500 for a day. There and back. We use our camera, use Patterson's mills, we buy the blocks. That's good money. So look at this. I said we'll be launching our CBCT integration pilot program soon. I made all that shit up. I wanted a cone beam. I knew that I wanted a cone beam. I knew where I wanted to be. My investors go, hey, before I give you all this money, you need to show me something else. So now, November, this last year, cone beam was installed at the lab. We're running a pilot program with 6 doctors involved. We're doing surface data integration. We're going to periodontists. We're teaching them how to do this stuff. It's crazy how it's working. It's a lot to learn. It's overwhelming a little bit. But that's the stuff, you know, I knew where I wanted to be, and we kept driving for that, and that's where we're at now. So we're learning all kinds of crazy cone beam stuff. Everything's in a whirlwind from my perspective. But it's all built on the Sirona platform. And it's crazy because it's totally an integrated system. Talk about relationships. This was the Studio 2. They're one of our partners in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They were our first franchise or partnership that came on. 22 doctors came to the event that I lectured at, talking about same-day crowns, talking about Omnicam, talking about the digital highway. We have to have an email for the doctors to hook up the calendar, right? So they can see our calendar, because each person's assigned a number. We have to have their email to integrate them to live to get it rocking and rolling. 22 doctors came to the event. We got 22 emails that night. That's crazy. When I call on people now, I'm not calling in saying, hey, I'm that creepy lab guy and my secondary anatomy's better than you. I'm talking about same day. I'm bringing something totally different to the table. I tried to get into this dental office, it has 3 doctors for about 3 years. Hey, here's some Panera. My crowns are better. Here's a price sheet, and they throw that shit away, right? Think about it. I went in there with this concept. Within 10 minutes, I'm past the front desk talking to the freaking office manager. The next morning, the doctor calls my business partner's cell phone, sets up a meeting for Friday. It's nuts. I've been in there freaking, hello, I'm back, and nothing. And then we come in with something different, something that creates value, and we're in. That was like a 3I course. 55 doctors show up to that. You know why? Encode. What can you do with encode? You can scan it with Omnicam and send that off and get a custom abutment back. So now you team up with your oral surgeons and you say, hey, you know what? If you go to this guy over here, you never have to take a fixture level impression. Ever. The healing cap is the scan body on encode. Place the implant, let me scan it, rock and roll. He's done. There's value in that. So now if you're a clinician, you're going to say, hey, send to this oral surgeon because I don't have to order the components. I don't have to do anything. They're going to scan it and send it off. I'm going to get back an abutment. This is some of the stuff we've been through. I love the middle picture. That's one of our big accounts, Dr. Stout. This was actually from LMT. We've been published about 3 times now. And next month, you'll see an IDT's master's class article. I just completed and signed off on it. You're going to see some really cool stuff that can be done the same day. I'm going to go talk about it a little bit. But it's been a journey, and it's been good, it's been bad. We spent a lot of money figuring this stuff out, and a lot of time. You know, I was talking yesterday about one of our doctors. You know, it hasn't been all fun. You talk, oh man, he's up there, yeah, the same day, this is awesome. One of the first days, within the first month we did this, we had 11 units scheduled in one day. That is a bad idea starting off, right? It was at one office. We crashed and burned. I mean, I'm talking crashed and burned. The doctor came out at the end of the day. We wouldn't even sit next to each other, my partner and I. We hate each other that day. You should have seen the masks and the way we looked at it. It was terrible. And the doctor comes out, sits down, he goes, well, boys, didn't think there'd be a learning curve, huh? I mean, patient got out of the chair, was mad, wanted to leave. We had to get her back in the chair, so we learned all this stuff. Now that doctor sold his practice, and he's on staff with us now. He's helping us with the cone beam stuff. His last month in business, we cleared him $28,000 in Crown and Bridge. People say, well, yeah, he was getting out of the business, and he was just prepping stuff to get it done. Well, the reality is a patient still has to accept treatment. You know what? He was excited about it. Going back to the beginning slide, he'd have a patient in hygiene, we'd be scanning, he'd be like, hey, come here, check this out. You know what? They bought the crown. It's something different because he was excited, he was selling it, and he made money on it. And the patient created this value that was like, oh my God, they're telling their family members are coming in. It's ridiculous of what you can do once you change your business model just a little bit. Team Smile Design, that's Jason from Grand Rapids. Should have seen him last night. I got a video. But that stuff we do, it's the marketing, Team Smile Design. We give out shirts. How much is a shirt? $6. Oh man, that's expensive. Raise your crown price, $6. Who cares? People are like, well, I'm trying to get more life off those burrs. Okay, well, if you're the person about that margin, you just lost your butt. If you try to cut corners, you cut corners. Just charge more. Add $1 to it. If a doctor comes to you for price, he's going to leave you for price, right? It's a toilet bowl race to the bottom. Our next shirts are going to say, I got my crown in this t-shirt same day. We're going to give them to every single patient we do a crown for. Every patient's going to get a t-shirt. You know what? They're going to wear that shit to Lowe's and Home Depot, right? Think about it. You're branding. It's a brand. Think about, well, I didn't get my t-shirt, I got my crown, you know. They're talking to one doctor, you know, patient comes in, well, where's my t-shirt at? Well, you didn't go. It's so cliche, but it's the little things that make a difference in terms of the branding process. This right here, it hit me. We got a rock. All right. Dr. Stewart, one of the best single central matches I've seen in 40 years of dentistry. When I first started, I thought that was good. I was like, hey, check that out, right? It's monolithic. Could have put a little more surface texture in number 8, you know what I mean? The shade's not bad. I could have made it a little bit better. The patient was happy as hell. But it's still not that good. This is a year later. I printed this out on marketing material. I just showed it to people and say, hey, look how good that is, right? It's not very good. But I thought it was. But look what the doctor said. The best shade match he's seen in 40 years. You're overproducing, all of us are. You talk about these big hybrid Patel cases, talk about all this. I don't give a shit about that. I want to see you match a single central. That's all I care about. I don't want to see your roundhouse that you took 2 or 3 months to work on. I want to see real-time stuff. Number 7, it's TelioCAD. That's a temporary on an implant. Ovate Deponic, we're trying to create some emergence profile. This girl was pregnant. She was like 8 months pregnant. She had like a black spot at number 9. That is a temporary, milled same day. That's stuff that we're doing now in terms of temporization. You know, interdental papilla killers, flippers. Flippers not made right, you destroy the tissue. It happens every day. I saw an article the other day. Destroys the tissue. Number 9, same day, 2-hour crown. That's understanding materials. Number 11, it's a little off, but man, that's pretty gosh darn close. So the stuff where we've gone, but you talk about that and level of acceptance to that a year later, that is a beautiful restoration. I mean, considering the teeth that were there, but it matches, it disappears. 1 powder cutback. I had this guy came in the lab, and we gotta get rocking. I saw this guy come in the lab and he said, I was doing a 4-unit bridge, and he said, it was already milled out, right? So I'm getting ready to customize it. He's sitting next to me because we custom match everything. And he's like, can you make 8 and 9 a little bit longer? I wanted to kill the guy, right? So my one buddy said, why don't you just shorten 7 and 10? It makes sense though. But that's 1 powder. So we get a little model, little layering, it's done same day. That's from one of the doctors. We used to say perfect. It's not perfect. It's as close as you can get because there's no super eruption. We're doing it now. We're eliminating everything else. And if you have an in-lab system, you can do it right now. I'm not going to read that. It's too long. So this is the master's class article. We'll wrap it up and get out of here. So basically, you'll see this next month in IDT. Read it. That's the future of our industry. I used to carry a soapbox around talking about the state of our industry and talking about this and that and how the new lab, normal businesses run 33% profit, labor. The new lab is running 40% profit, 40% consumables, 20% labor. We're skewing those numbers. We're pulling it. My lab's at 18% labor rate in Crown and Bridge. That's crazy. That's why I'm up talking to you guys right now, because I'm a Serona commercial. Not to mention we have like 5 Omnicams, a cone beam, and 3 mills. But it's working for my laboratory. That is awesome. That's done same day. That's like 5 powder build on that. There's no external staining on that. That's all porcelain. Same day with the alginate. Took an alginate, we milled them back, cut it back on the software, done. It's one of the Serona reps out of Minneapolis. We flew them into St. Louis and did it. Read the article. It's cool. It's where our industry is going. I'm telling you. So wrap it up, CBCT. How often do you get your dad like that? Yeah, look at that. That's the doctor I talked about. So it's our pilot program. We're getting it rocking and rolling. I've learned a lot in the last year, a lot about patients, about materials, about cone beam, about digital. Digital is the future. So do you have a network? Are you on Facebook? I think the ADA says 70-some% of all dentists coming out of school right now will look for your lab on Facebook. Are you on there? Do you have a presence? Are you posting? Are you active? They're going to look for you. I'm going to look for you because I want to see if you're doing something I'm not. Talk about new stuff. You got the new scanner. You have there's all kinds of new stuff that's coming out. I use the Serona Connect app every single day. We do 3 to 8 same-day crowns every single day. Oops. So my lab, I have 2 MCXLs, and look, I've named them. And that's the wax. It's an amazing machine. I've had it now for 2 or 3 weeks. I've probably milled 200 units on it. It's crazy. The 5th axis is crazy. And you got to think, it's totally wet dry. So you can mill that. The wax actually mills dry, and at the end turns the water jets on and finishes the margins in. It's amazing. In terms of PMMA, it mills everything out, turns the water jets on the end and finishes the margins and polishes it. It's so cool. Is this coming? We got a puck mill now. This is from Nobilium. I don't know how this is all going to work. I know Avident called the other day and they said, hey, we know you have MCX5. I want to send you some pucks. So I'm going to start milling some dentures in the MCX5 and see how that all works out. We did this. This is 2 years ago I did this. I scanned an impression with the X5, the InEos X5. I scanned an AccuDent impression, sent that to Sun Dental, got back to Framework. It was Nobilium, for 89 bucks. I didn't even pour the model. They printed the model. That's how it came back. Just like that, to Sun Dental, 90 bucks. Free shipping, 2 years ago. Valplast, we've done a couple of those. They fit, it's great. So we'll wrap this up. That's true, labs buy stuff. We buy technology, we buy CAD/CAM, we buy all this equipment. How much equipment do you have still sitting in your laboratory that doesn't use? All dusty and stuff. I have tons of it. Doesn't matter what we do. You have to, No. I do have an old compact sitting downstairs. So think hard about this, I got to get rocking. But basically, think hard about where your lab's at, where your lab wants to go. Because my favorite slide ever. That's a true statement, and that's why we've lost half of the labs in the last 5 or 6 years. And you know what? That was us. Seriously, that was my laboratory. And we had all the back payroll taxes. I mean, at Christmas time in 2009, I didn't think we were going to be here. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought I was going to start selling used cars or something because it was bad. But we've positioned ourselves, we've grouped and rallied. And like I said, for the last, 6 months, we're giving out gift cards to employees. That's crazy because you know what? We positioned ourselves for growth. And it's through the digital. I mean, you can say what you want. I'm lecturing for Serona, but it really saved my lab. And now the stuff that we're doing with that and the way we position ourselves for the digital future, there's nobody in my area that's even close. And as soon as you assert yourself as that digital expert on everything and just know a little bit more than the rest, you don't have to worry about that anymore. That's it. I'm out. I appreciate it, everybody.